What's going on, guys? And welcome to another edition of Inside the Hatches RPO podcast. I'm your humble host, Jerron Jones, and I'm here with my guy, Ray Roberts, the man, the myth, the legend. Ray, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited because we got football. We got some football yesterday. It was super exciting to have that around. Ray, did you get to watch the game?
I did watch some of it, not a lot. There was a little bit of a delay in the beginning, and then I watched a little bit of it. So,
Yeah, that delay definitely killed me too, right? I didn't watch the whole thing like you said too. I actually fell asleep on it, but I did see the guy Trayvon Walker.
Trayvon Walker, yeah.
There we go. Trayvon Walker go crazy with a sack in that game, and that defensive line was looking pretty good.
I liked their players on defense. Don't think Trayvon Walker should have been the first one pick in the draft, but
I still agree with that.
We'll get back to that later. That's all.
But there's gonna be some people that's like, see, told you. I'm like,
preseason is pump the brakes, man. Even Mike Momoa looked good in preseason.
Yes, you are definitely right about that. But yeah, football season's back, man. And I think we got about 3 weeks now until this regular season.
Yep.
4, 3, something like that.
Yep.
Super exciting. So we're gonna try to run past these rankings.
I remember there's actually games on the 27th of August.
Yeah. This is crazy, man. Oh, you want to hear something funny, Ray? As you guys know, I am currently living in Georgia, and these kids are in school already.
Why?
They started school this week. I was just like, what? Yeah, the kids are in school already, so I'm going to have high school.
Do they get done earlier, Jerome?
They do get done earlier. Yeah.
That would make sense, though, because they heat in the summertime.
Yeah, that
makes sense. I got that. That makes sense.
They get done around, I think, April, something like that.
Okay, well,
April, early May, something like that.
Yeah, that would make sense if they get done early, kind of because of the hot weather. I get that. That makes sense.
Do that. So
no, I didn't know either, but it kind of makes sense now that you think about it.
Yeah, and Ray would just talk about how hot it is in Jersey right now too. So
it's been brutally hot this summer, to be honest with you.
It's definitely hot down here. We've been in the 90s the last almost month. So, but hey, man, I'm enjoying it. I'm loving the weather. It's better than the winter. It's better than the snow and cold. So I can't complain. We can't complain.
I hear that.
Let's get to our main topic because I don't want to talk about the weather all day. But let's get right into it because we got a lot of rankings to do before the season start, and now I'm super excited to get up and going. And we're gonna start off with the running backs. So we're gonna rank the top 10 running backs of 2022. Now these are our rankings that how we think they're gonna be this year and how we think they're gonna proceed and be good this year. Not only and it has something to do with what they did in the past, but this is more of what we think how it's going to run down for this season. So Ray, I'm gonna let you get the honors. Number 10, who you got?
Well, I'm going to give you a blast from the past, Jerome, because I have a 10B and a 10A.
Yeah.
And I wasn't crazy about doing this, but I couldn't decide who I wanted to leave off my list, so I kind of just went with it. So number 10B, I have Sean Tucker from Syracuse. We know that he's a fairly stout kid, 5'10", 210, almost 1,500 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns. So not hard to see the production. I think if I had to put a grade round, like what round I think he would be taken in the NFL, I'm going to say late day 2, early day 3, because he definitely has the production and the size to play in the NFL. So at 10A, I have Chris Rodriguez from Kentucky. He's a senior this year, so he'll definitely should be coming out. That's where Sean Tucker is only a sophomore, so he probably won't come out this year. But so he has a chance to increase his value. Where I think Rodriguez is a late day 2, early day 3 guy who had nice production, almost 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. So again, a productive kid, big enough, 5'11", 225, so big stout kid. So nice player. At 9, I have Tank Bixby.
I got my list too.
Sorry, man. I forgot about your guy.
You forgot about me, man? Come on.
About your guy. I forgot. Run right through the whole list. Sorry.
You're going to run through the whole thing. Sorry, man. So I got you guys gonna hate my list. I'm just letting you know, y'all gonna hate my list, and it's gonna start off with a player that I'm gonna talk about right now. I also have a 10A and 10B because I couldn't leave this guy off. I talked about him all season, right? You probably already know who I'm gonna talk about. Donovan Edwards from Michigan. I mean, and it's not just his production because he was a really good running back in the place of Blake Corum down the stretch. But this kid can catch the ball too, and you know how important that is in the NFL right now. And I know we're not talking about the NFL, we're not even talking about the draft, but having that dynamic running back that can catch out of the backfield and he could throw, you can do so many different things with him. And I think that he's gonna have a when we got him as a recruit, I was ecstatic, and he did not let me up in his first year. And I am very excited to see what he does. And now that he's the number 2 running back in that backfield, so I'm super excited about him. A little biased, but I love Donovan Edwards. I had to put him on here. And then my 10B will be Tank Bixby. I almost didn't put him on her, but I did put him on her. Running back from Auburn. I think he's gonna show some big things this year. I think he has the potential to be even higher on this list, honestly. But I really like him. He's very steady guy, very sturdy. Great balance as a running back. So I like him a lot. Ray, you want to jump in on that?
Well, I have Tank Bixby a little bit higher than that, so
Okay.
I'll go there. My question is, do you have Blake Corum in your top 10 now that you put one Michigan guy in the top 10?
Yes.
I guess I'm going to find that out, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the only reason I wouldn't put. I like Donovan Edwards a lot.
Yeah.
I just can't. I wouldn't put both of them in my top 10. Because one will be more productive than the other just by.
I respect that, and like I say, I almost didn't even have Donovan Edwards on my top 10 just because,
Right.
like you're saying too, because I do think Blake Corum is going to be in there, and in a sense, I didn't want to put both of them in there too, but I was like, whatever, I'm going to stay biased and just.
Right. I mean, I like Corum, and again, I'll get to him a little bit later. But I think they're a great 1-2 punch. I do,
right. Correct.
But I don't know if they'll both get the production to be top 10 running backs. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. At number 9, I had Tank Bixby from Auburn.
Nice.
Big power runner, good player. Again, productive player at a big time college.
Yep.
I think he is a college football player and a bruising college football player. I think that in the NFL, one cut guy will probably be okay. But as a college player, he's been very productive and he's a good player. So,
no, I agree. Yeah. Bixby, yeah, like I said, I think he's a solid guy. He had a good year last year, and I wanted to see him continue with that. So, got him in the top 10. So, hey. All right, next one I have is Barbara Allen from Wisconsin. I think I spelled his name wrong. Good player. I'm sorry?
Braylon Allen.
Braylon? Yeah, I spelled it wrong there. Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. Wisconsin guys always pumping up the really good running backs. I don't think he's on a line of some of the highly elite running backs that they usually have, but he's a good guy, man. He's a great, really solid guy. They usually have a really good offensive line for those running backs to do their thing also. But yeah, I have him here at 9. Ray, what do you think about him?
I like him a lot, actually. I think he's a really nice, unique combination of power. Speed and power.
Which is that's usually what they target in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and well, I mean, I would worry about him at the next level. Like a lot of Wisconsin guys are not always as productive when they get to the next level. But he's a good college player. I have him a little higher than you, though, so I'll get to him later. Right. At number 8, I have Zach Carbino from UCLA. Again, a solid 6'1", 220, good player. Had almost 1,200 yards rushing, 13 touchdowns. He's a senior. He's definitely a late day 2 or early day 3 guy at the next level, and he will be coming out. But he's been really productive at UCLA. We know how Chip Long likes that up pace. Let's move, and this kid fits that system. He's a one-cut guy that gets downhill pretty quickly. So good football player.
No, definitely, I agree with that, and I actually have him slightly higher than you, not a lot. So you'll be hearing his name soon. My My next guy is Devin Arcane from Texas A&M. We talked about Texas A&M and their offense, and they can be one of those teams that can be really good. I just don't know how. I feel like I could have had him higher, but I just don't know how that offense is going to run. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be pass happy like they've been trying to be. Are they going to be trying to lean on the run, which they should do? So I mean, he's a really good running back. Honestly, I really do feel like he's a really good running back. But looking at the total team and how the scheme is and things like that, I kind of question if he's going to be able to get to that high stat level. I think he's going to be very productive, but I don't know about his stat level because I'm not sure. It could be really high. It could be mid. I don't think it's going to ever be low, but it just depends on how that offense runs because I'm still not 100% sure how what's the identity of that offense, honestly. So
I have a Shane a little higher than you, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'll explain the reason why when I get to him. So, but I do in my top 10. I think he's a good football player. We know Texas A&M is a talented roster with good athletes, and I think he's another pretty athletic kid of 5'9", 185, who catches the ball well out of the backfield too, which don't forget about that. And he actually is not a bad blocker. He does get in the way and does a decent job with that. So I think he's he's a pretty good football player. But again, I'll get to him a little bit a little later. So at number 7, I have Blake Corum from Michigan. I like Corum. I think he is a slashing Curtis Martin type of a player at the next level. I think he's a day 2 pick, probably early to mid third round though. And my only thing is he's only a junior, so he could come out this year if he has good production. And how I feel about running backs. You have a productive year, man. Strike that fire while it's hot, man. Don't wait. So I think Corum's a good football player. He's a little short, but I don't. That doesn't bother me anymore with the way they run offenses now. Yeah. So, I mean, he's a powerful kid for his size, and he gets the job done. So.
No, I agree, and I'll talk about him later because I do have him on my list, right?
Okay.
Number 7 is the guy you just mentioned right after number 8 is Mr. Zach Carbino. I like him a lot. A guy, I believe he was the one that transferred from Michigan, if I'm not mistaken.
He is.
Yes, he's the Michigan transfer. I'm very highly upset about it. But the reason why I feel like I have him higher than you, Ray, I agree with every point that you said about him. I think this UCLA offense is made for him, though. Made for a running back and a running quarterback.
I agree with you. And the other concern I have is he's a senior. Has he reached his ceiling? Is there more developing? I think there is some, but I don't see him as a high ceiling type of a guy. I think he's a low floor kid where he's going to be a productive player. Right. I just don't know if there's any more than just a solid productive player. That's all.
No, and I agree. Yeah, I just think the offense is more tailored to him than honestly. If I look at most of these offenses, other than like my top 2 or 3, his is probably like the most like scheme fitting for him.
I agree because I think that he is a one-cut guy, and we all know Chip likes some guys. He doesn't. No. He hated Shady McCoy because he thought Shady McCoy danced too much. As productive as he was, he still hated him because he thought, I want a guy who gets to the hole, hits the hole, and attacks the hole. Right. And that's just not Shady's game. But that is his kid's game. So
correct. No, and I agree. All right, Ray, you got 6.
I had Braylon Allen from Wisconsin at 6. Again, big, sturdy, 6'2", 240-pound kid with good feet and good size. I think, again, if we're going to go into the next, what he could be as an NFL player, he's only a sophomore, so he'll have another year after this year, I'm assuming. I'm pretty sure. But as a 2-down back in the NFL, I think he could be a nice little player for you. So
I agree. No, I agree. I got him on my list, and you have him a little bit higher, but I agree. I think he's going to be
we all know about how Wisconsin likes to use our running backs, and
correct.
He had a really productive year last year, and I can't see why he would be any less this year. So
yeah, I mean, I just don't see. I don't know if I think he's going to be around the same. Which is not a bad thing. He had a really good year, so I think I don't think he can. I mean, it's possible, and I honestly I do hope it happens. But I'm not sure if he's gonna be better than he was last year. So I think it's gonna be like about even. So which is again a good season.
Mm-hmm.
We're at number 6. Number 6 is a running back that, if it wasn't for 3 guys that I really like at the top, he would probably be in that mix. But he is on a new team. He just transferred to this new team, so I do want to see how he does in this team. He's coming from a lesser team. Now he's in a Power 5 school, and that's Jameer Gibbs. I mean, I love Jameer Gibbs, dude. I watched a lot of his tape before he was at Alabama, and I was like, this kid is nice for Georgia Tech. And now I'm at Georgia. I'm seeing a lot more like Georgia-esque kind of like things going on. And Jameer Gibbs was a name that was just floating out there. And I was like, I gotta check out who this kid is. And when I watched, I was very impressed. Very impressed. He got speed, he got vision, he got balance. I really like this kid, and I really want to see how he does in front of an Alabama offensive line. Now, Alabama offensive line is not where it used to be. I think it will be better this year, honestly, but it's still Alabama offensive line versus a Georgia Tech offensive line. So I want to see how that goes. I mean, he might just blow this whole thing up and just be number 1 on here. It's still wait and see, but from what I've seen from him at Georgia Tech, I'm very excited about him. I had to put him on my list.
I have, Jerome, that's the one guy we have in the same spot. I have Gibbs also number 5. So
you have him at 5. I have him at 6.
Okay, so I have him at 5.
Nice.
I actually thought about putting him higher because I think I see everything you see on game film. I think as an NFL prospect, he may be second on my list. But for right now, this production, I need to see it on the field. But as far as talent-wise, this could be a top 3 player.
There's a reason why Alabama got a guy from Georgia Tech.
That's a reason. Well, they didn't have a great recruiting year, so what they did is they went out and fleeced the portal and took everybody they could,
But I'm telling you, if you guys haven't seen this man play, watch some tape of him. You're gonna be like in awe. Like it's weird because he kind of gave me some the Saints running back. What's his name again? I forgot his name, but he gave me some vibes from
Kamara. Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. Okay. He gave me some of those vibes with him. I think he's bigger, obviously, but I just think he gave me some of those vibes where he can do some great stuff in open space, So I like that about him.
No, I like him. I think he's a good football player. I mean, I have him at number 5, so
Yeah. All right, my number 5 guy is Zach Evans from Ole Miss. Really good running back. I think he's gonna be. I got him on top 5 for a reason. I think that he's gonna be really good. I actually was debating him and Gibbs right there. That was a hard debate for me, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted, and like I said, the only reason I have Gibbs just right under the top 10 is just because I don't know how he's gonna do in Alabama. I honestly feel like he's gonna be better. But I had to pick Evans there because I have a little bit more track record with him. So I put him at 5. Right? What do you think?
I have him just outside my top 10, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So I like him. He's a good player, but just outside my top 10. I think my number 3 guy is really good as a college football player. But there are going to be people that are going to tell me he's scheme specific in the NFL, and he is. But he's a great football player. So
Okay, who you got at number 4?
I have Devin Arcane from Texas A&M, and the one reason is because he was productive last year, and with Isaiah Spiller being drafted, I think this kid's going to get his touches too, and I think he could have a big year this year. So
yeah, and that was another thing. He had Spiller in front of him, so he was good last year. I just don't know how good he can be by himself. Not say that he can't. And again, the scheme, it just weird for me with him. Again, I would love to pin him higher. I just want to see it first for me, at least. So
I mean, he averaged over 5 yards a carry last year.
Yeah.
Again, if he does that again this year, my question is going to be who is going to spell him, and we'll see what that looks like right now. So he was productive, over 900 yards. Only 4 touchdowns, but again, we know Spiller got a lot of those touches down there. So,
yep. All right, my number 4 guy is I got a Ohio State guy here, Chevalier. I was gonna say
Trayvon Henderson. Trevelyan.
That's
Trevelyan Henderson, yes.
These names, man.
Yeah, well, I didn't name the kid. I'm just telling you what I read.
I'm not blaming you, but man, his name, man. Trevelyan. Woo. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Let's get off of that. Trevelyan Henderson, Ohio State. I remember him from last year. He was really good. I feel like he's going to be even better this year. Unfortunate for my team. I think he's a good running back. I think they're gonna need to rely. I mean, this is the thing. They're going to rely on the play action a lot, and they're going to have to. Even though I do think, not Young, what's the other kid name? CJ Spout. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I really do. But to keep him really good, I think they're going to have to rely on that play action, and then which means they're going to have to run a little bit more. And I feel like they got away from that a little bit last year than they should have. To be completely honest, I'm not a Ohio State fan. I hate Ohio State, but if there was something that I could say that they messed up last year is relying on the pass a little bit too much because they always been a running team. I mean, they always been a run first team, and they relied on the passing game a little too much. Not that it wasn't productive and not that it wasn't good, but that's not really their identity. I think they need to get back to that. So
I think that the problem with them was their defense wasn't great last year either. So they didn't depend on that. But my theory to that is why not lean on the running game if your defense isn't that great? Why ball as much as they did if you can rely on your running game? And the other problem is their offensive line is not great.
Yeah. So
we'll see what that looks like this year. But they always have good receivers. The quarterback's a stud. I think a lot of it needs to – will they have a better pass rush than they did last year where if they get leads, they don't have to worry about giving them right back. So,
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, Ray, I'm very curious to see your top three now, man, because there's a couple of names that is not on here that I know you probably have on here. So, number 3, who you got, Ray?
Number 3, I had Deuce Vaughn. It's my guy, man.
I love him.
I think Deuce Vaughn, here's the caveat about that is because in the NFL, he's a third down back. He's a scheme-specific type kid. Yes. And he's going to be drafted probably early, either late day 2 or early day 3. Yeah. And if you draft him on production and film, he's a second-round pick, easy. But they're not going to do that. So,
Yeah, he's and I hate to do comparisons when there's a person in the same school, but you kind of have to look at it like he's like Darren Sproles. He's a small scat back kind of guy. We'll see this year. I mean, he did well in a number 1 running back spot last year. But let's see how he does in another year in there because people are gonna be wondering if he can stay the number 1 guy or they're gonna keep spelling him with another person and splitting carries with him.
14 yards, man, 18 touchdowns. I mean,
this is not me talking. It's me talking as a scout. But I love Vaughn. I have him 1 spot higher than you. I'm gonna just spoiler alert. I have him 1 spot higher than you because
honestly,
I love the kid. You know how much I love him. Since his freshman year, I'm like, why is he on Kansas State? Like, nothing against Kansas State, but like this kid is productive, and I'm pretty sure it was his height, honestly. But
it is. We know that
he's a boss. Like Deuce Vaughn is my guy. I need to get an interview with him somehow because that's my guy. I love him.
Right. This is the one thing that you could see where if teams value him as a special teams player, maybe someone jumps on him late second, early third. Maybe.
Yeah.
Again, if you look at the production, what kind of player he is, man, you could argue he's a second-round pick easy. But we know how people – wait a minute. Alvin Kamara went in the 4th round.
Yeah.
And the kid's a stud. So, I mean, and he's bigger than Deuce Vaughn.
Oh, yeah.
So, but,
Deuce is
it is with size, man.
Yeah.
We worry about size way too much. I look at the kid's unstoppable. Put him out in the flat, get him in space.
I never understood the size thing when it came to like NFL players because we're at a point of the years that like size don't matter. I mean, I hate to say that. Well, I mean, really don't like it. Haven't been like matter in the last like what 15 years. Maybe
Right.
early on you'd be like, oh yeah, he's a little too small. We got these huge guys, huge linebackers. They're gonna crush him. We got smaller, fast guys now, so it's like it don't matter anymore. I don't think. Like,
I mean,
that's
here's
not-
where it would matter to me. If I have a small guy and gets hurt a lot, yeah, I got to worry about that. But this
Exactly.
guy doesn't get hurt.
He doesn't.
I mean, like, what is the problem? I mean, again, third down back, situational type player, returns punts, maybe kicks for you, at least punts.
Yeah,
Man, he's a dynamic player, man. I don't care what anyone tries to tell me.
100%.
I don't care.
Yeah. Deuce Vaughn is my guy. You guys already know it. I already spoiled it. He's number 2 guy. Number 3, I got Blake Corum here. All right. I got him. Yeah, it might be biased, but
Nah.
but I obviously I got to see him way more than any of these other running backs outside of Deuce Vaughn. Honestly, Deuce Vaughn and Blake Corum, out of everybody on my list, I probably watched them play the most. Like I'm gonna get to Deuce Vaughn. I mean, not harp on Deuce Vaughn, but Blake Corum. The reason why I say that is because the production that we had with Haskins last year, and he was a number 1 running back last year. The production we had with him last year, Blake Corum was better as the second running back. The only reason that Blake Corum don't look as good on paper is because he got injured. But like all his stats were better than Haskins.
Haskins, yeah.
Yeah, and like Blake Corum is a vision guy. Like his vision is insane. He'll cut right in and be out of there. You know what I'm saying? And I love how his vision is. He's tougher. He is a tough cookie too. Just because he's a fast guy, he's not a bruiser, but he's a tough guy. Like you can't just like think that you're just gonna knock him on his butt, because it's not always gonna happen. You know, he's not a huge guy, but you're not gonna just straight knock him on his butt. He's going to either have the balance or he's going to actually put some muscle on you. It's not going to always work, but he's a tough guy. And I love Blake Corum. He was probably one of the biggest reasons that Michigan was so successful last year. And once he got out of the lineup, we had to change things up a little bit more. Haskins was still very, very productive guy. I hope he does well in the NFL. It's unfortunate that he's behind Derrick Henry right now. That's another fact, but Blake Corum is, I think, if they stay the course with staying a running first team, which I think I'm pretty sure they will, he's my guy, man. I love him. And again, it's a little bit biased, and like I said in the beginning of this, I'm gonna hate my list because I do have a couple of Michigan guys, and I got my number 2 guys, one of my favorite running backs this year. But yeah, so.
Well, I mean, you argue 2 ways. You could say that Corum could be more productive because Haskins gone.
Correct.
But you answered your own questions. The reason why Haskins is more value guy is because he's just a bigger guy.
Yeah.
Corum's 5'8", 200 pounds even. He's a slashing type, more physical guy than you think he is.
Exactly.
But he still is 5'8", 200 pounds.
Yeah.
So I think he's a productive player, and I like him. Mm-hmm. But I think at the next level, and even in college, he may need a guy that can spell him a little bit here and there. So.
Yeah. No, I give you that. Yeah. So, but yeah, just for NFL purposes, college purposes, I think he's a really good back. And I think he's going to have a very productive year this year. Which with the argument you talked about earlier, with having 2 Michigan guys in there, it makes sense because Corum is going. I think Corum's going to. He's a home run hitter. So like if he's a home run hitter, there's not gonna be a lot left on the field when he's on the field. So
well, again, he works good with the other back you put up there because he's more of a receiving threat. I mean, 1-2 punch.
Yeah, and
I think Michigan still are in good shape with running the ball. So that's always going to be, to me.
You might see both of them on the field at the same time.
I agree with that 100%.
Yep.
But I think that, again, if you're Michigan, you need to run the ball. You need to establish the line of scrimmage, play good physical football. That's how Michigan wins. So,
100%. All right, Ray, number 2.
I have Trayvon Henderson from Ohio State at number 2.
I don't
production's there, almost 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns. I think And I could see him having a better year this year as long as they don't go pass happy. Again,
yeah.
the defense going to be strong enough where they can think, well, we don't have to throw the ball 30 times, 40 times a game. I don't know that for sure. But I think if they do, Trayvon Henderson's a good football player. And the only guy I may take Jameer Gibbs before him at the next level when they get to the NFL.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
For right now, his production, he's on Ohio State. I'll leave him at 2 for right now.
I wanted to pick Gibbs higher. I said
I thought about it hard. I did.
I thought about it too, right? And I was just like, I need to pump the race just a little bit. But
this is my ranking for college football player running backs.
Correct.
If I were going to go
NFL,
try to project to the NFL, I would go my number 1, and then I would go Henderson second. Gibbs second, and I would go Deuce Vaughn third. I would. I don't care what anybody says, man. If I get Vaughn and Gibbs, or Vaughn and the guy I have at number 1, oh my God, dude! Talk about dynamic. Woo. Yeah,
I love how it sounds, man. I love how that sounds. I love it. I agree with you, Ray. All right, I already said my number 2, Deuce Vaughn. I had a point that I was gonna make with him when I was talking about quorum, but I forgot. Okay. But Deuce Vaughn, man, he's my guy. Like I said, I love this kid. I don't care how small he is. Both him and Blake Corum are smaller running backs. Deuce is obviously way smaller, but I like their production, man. And like I said, both of these guys play very early in their careers, which also plays a factor to some of my, what I think too, because I think obviously they're running back, so lifespan later on might be shorter. Hopefully not. But as far as like having early production as a player in college and be very successful, I like that a lot. So I always value that. And if you sustain that for years, which both of them has, I like that a lot. So all right, everybody already knows. It's not even a big secret. We both know who number 1. We talked about this last week, Ray.
Yeah.
We both didn't have this guy number 1. Something's wrong. And that's Benjamin Robertson from Texas.
Yep.
Number 1 running back. It's just easy. Ray, I'm gonna let you talk about him a little bit first. Go ahead.
Oh, a guy who's productive, runs with great balance, great contact balance, just a great vision, just a productive, 6 foot, 220 pounder. Reminds me a lot of Curtis Martin. He's a really good football player. I really like him. I think that he's the only guy in this list that could be a first-round pick. But we know I'm thinking more likely early day 2. But I think, again, a very good football player playing for Texas, of course, who has a great tradition of running back. So I just don't know. I think, again, I would take him late first round. I think if the Dolphins, since they blew a first-round pick this with all this stuff that happened to them, if he's there late first round, I think they should just jump on him, to be honest with you. But
correct. Yeah, a guy. I think he's the next Jonathan Taylor in the NFL. Where I think that with how Jonathan Taylor was, I think Robertson is getting a little bit more attention than Jonathan Taylor was in college, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like not a lot of people talk about Jonathan Taylor in college enough. But when he went to the NFL, and then when he went to the NFL, people was like didn't know about him and just like, dude, this kid is nice. Robinson's gonna have one of those kind of seasons. I think he has the same kind of traits. I think where tough, big, fast. To the point that I made earlier, he started off very early in his career as a freshman, and showed a lot of like flashes. And when he played as a freshman, he was like, dude, this kid is gonna be nice, and he is living up to that, man. I'm sorry, man. I think he's a first rounder. If he's not a first rounder, he's gonna be the first 1 or 2 running backs off the board for sure.
No, I agree. I just don't know. Like every year we talk about it. Is there going to be a running back taken in the first round this year?
Was there one this year? No, right?
Not.
I don't think there was one. I don't think there was one good enough this year, though.
No, but Jonathan Taylor wasn't taken in the first round. Was he good enough?
He wasn't. He was. I thought Jonathan Taylor should have been the first running back off that board. Even though I like the guy from wait, was they in the same Steelers, right? The Steelers running back? They was in the same draft, right?
No, that was the year before.
Okay. But yeah, still, Jonathan Taylor should have been the first running back off the board. He wasn't even the first one.
He wasn't.
I thought that was a mistake.
He was the third. He was the third running back taken that year.
That was a mistake. And
it was a mistake.
Right. Even you know how much I like Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you guys already know from when we did our fantasy draft, he was about to be my number one running back. I wholeheartedly really debated that. And I almost took him. I took Christian McCaffrey. It didn't necessarily bite me in the butt because I had a good year and I went to the championship. But if I had Jonathan Taylor with that team I had, woo! Yeah. But yeah, Robertson brings all that same kind of element to me, right? Mm-hmm. Same kind of element.
I am a big fan. I wanted Miami to take him with the 30th pick in the draft that year.
I hope y'all get him. Y'all deserve it. I mean, I like your room right now, but you don't have a guy. And if you
there's not a guy. There's some nice players there. There's just not the guy.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to mix and match a little bit of running back, which that's what a lot of teams do.
Yeah.
In the NFL right now, I just think that if you have that guy, though, it just makes everybody a little bit better. I don't know, man. Again, the league is just way different than it used to be. Like having the bell cow running back used to be the way of the NFL when I was a kid. It's just not that way anymore, man. It's not like it's funny when I was really young. It was a little different. You had
all running back, so that's the number one thing. Running.
Even not only that, like even before that though, you had like Miami when they were good had three running backs. They had a fullback and they had two halfbacks. One was a scat back third down guy, and one was
what was that position you just said? A what back?
A scat back.
No. A
fullback. Yes.
What is that?
The position where the guy blocks.
What is that position? No, I'm messing.
Well, you know what's funny? Yeah. Miami's going to have a fullback this year.
Really?
Yes.
I can't remember the last time the Eagles had one. Oh, you know what? I do. Leonard Weaver. He was good. I like him. He got injured, though. But, yeah, Leonard Weaver.
Wow.
That was the last time he had a fullback, yeah. Wait, hold on.
When's the last time you had a good one?
Because I think we actually tried Dan Klecko at fullback.
You did. You did.
Yeah, that was a disaster. That was horrible.
Yeah, well, that was just stupid, but that was they're smarter than everything else, you know.
But anyway, yeah, man. So both had the same number one guy. It was very obvious. So let's get into our tight ends now, man.
I think he's pretty much everybody's number one guy. So
yeah. All right, let's go to our tight ends. Ray, I'm gonna let you start with your number 10.
My number 10 is Ben Stanford. 42 receptions, almost 700 yards, only 3 touchdowns, a 6'5". He's a little bit of a tweener, H-back type kid, but I have him at number 10. He's a good productive. Again, we're talking about tight ends that kind of like do multifaceted things. The days of guys being blockers and then receivers are pretty much a thing of the past now. So you have to have some receiving chops, which he does. Stanford produces, tight ends that can catch the ball. So,
yeah, I like him a lot. I don't have him in my top 10. I think I had him a little bit right outside of it, but very productive guy. Ray, I think my list is gonna be a lot different from yours because you like to look at blocking a lot in this too. I don't necessarily do because I think it's necessary, but not all teams look at it. So
no, I understand, but I mean, I value the receiving part of it too. I just think that if you ask me who's the best the tight end in pro football right now, I would say the kid from San Francisco.
Yeah,
because he does everything.
Yeah, George Kittle, he does. Yeah, and then most people will say Kelsey.
It's it's what's his name for Kansas City? It's not even close.
Kelsey, yeah.
It's not even close. But
Yeah.
best all around, you know.
Correct. All right, number 10, I got Marshawn Ford from Louisville. Real big guy, pass catcher. I think he does a little bit of blocking as well. I'm not going to touch him. I'm not wholeheartedly know him entirely well, but I've seen and heard some glimpses about him, and I put him in my top 10 because I don't have a lot of tight ends that I really follow college football right now. So I definitely put him in there. I do have enough to fill out the rest, but number 10 was kind of hard for me because I didn't know who. So I just kind of read around and see what I heard. And Marshall Ford was a guy that I thought, seems like a good kid. I am going to start watching him now that I know about him, but I'll be honest. I only had 9. I struggled with my number 10. So
okay. Well, I have 4 just outside my top 10. I have 2 guys that I think are NFL quality players. Ford's one of them. And there's another guy that I kept out of my top 10. I'll probably mention his name a little later, but right now I'll keep that to myself. At number 9, I had Brent Kovic from Utah.
Okay.
And he's actually he's more of a receiving. Some people may even say a big receiver, but they use him inside. He doesn't block a whole lot, but he does try, and he is a good receiver. 50 receptions, 6 touchdowns, so he did a nice job there. But some people would argue he's just a big receiver, and I would not deny that, but he plays tight end in that system. So,
and this is exactly why I said our list is going to be different because I got him higher.
Okay.
For that reason, because I wasn't looking at just blocking. I'm looking at more receiving tight ends for my list. So. And and there's nothing wrong with either way that we look at it. I don't think, at least. I do like.
He's a good football player. Plays in Utah. He's a good program.
Yeah, but as far as complete production and what you're probably gonna see on stat line, the receiver and tight ends are gonna be the ones that you look at. So.
My only concern about him is when he tried to do some blocking, he got manhandled a little bit. So
Mm-hmm. No, and I totally agree. All right, number 9, I got Jalil Bin Billingsby from Texas. Big dude. I think he's a guy that is going
6'4", 220.
6'4", 220.
Yeah,
big dude. He actually, honestly, he looked bigger on TV, to be honest. But I like him a lot. He's a guy that I think is going to be very productive. As a guy in Texas, I think they're going to try to. I feel like he's the perfect play action kind of tight end that you need, big enough to get out there and fast enough to get out there, get jump balls if you need him to, things like that. And especially with a not a freshman quarterback, because he technically was on campus last year, so he's not technically a freshman, but a first year quarterback, you're going to need to rely on your tight end. So I think he's going to be very productive this year.
I like Billingsley. He's the other kid I actually left right outside my top 10.
Nice.
Again, I think he's in a good situation. He did only have 17 receptions last year playing with Alabama. Yeah. So I think they looked at him like he was – I think, again, you could argue he's a big slot receiver, which is fine, but I like Billingsley. I think he's an NFL quality player. I just left him outside of my top 10 because there's lack of production for last year, that's all. So,
gotcha.
Okay, number 8, I have Eric Gilbert from Georgia. 6'5", 250, big kid. Only had 35 receptions, but had almost 400 yards. And I like him because he's a blocker and he's a good blocker. So,
all right, this is weird. I have him higher on my list.
Okay.
I'll explain why in a second.
Okay.
I have him higher on my list.
Okay.
Number 8, a guy that I wholeheartedly hope that he has a better year. He showed a lot of flash last year, especially the year before, but last year he had a lot of flashes as well. I just think the production of that offense wasn't good enough, and that's Austin Stones, now at South Carolina, used to be at Oklahoma. A guy that we got to interview very early on as a company inside the hatches while he was in high school. he's very productive. I just feel like he's not getting his chance. And to be fair, and the reason why I only have him at 8, one is production, and two, why he had to go follow that quarterback. He just had to go follow that quarterback, didn't he? I was like when I heard that Spencer was going to South Carolina, I was like, oh, this is gonna be great for Stone. And then he goes and transfer with him. I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
I would love to see him with a different quarterback. I mean, I'm not trying to bash anybody or anything like that, but it was rough for him being on that team because when Spencer's first year, they had a really good rapport together. And I was just like, this kid is nice. And then last year it was a little dip because there was such a drop off from Spencer, and I'm just like, man, Stone is really not getting the production that he should be, and I think he can really get that. I'm just kind of upset that he went to South Carolina, but I really do think he's a really good tight end. I can't leave him off my list.
Well, I left him off my list again because of his lack of production from last year, and his I don't even want to say his inability to block. He's a blanket. Yeah. I can block him. I don't. I mean, I think he's a good quality football player. I think I would have been more impressed if he wouldn't have went to South Carolina. I didn't understand that move, but
and that's the reason why I have him so low on my top 10. I mean, it's still kind of high actually.
Yeah.
But the fact that he is in South Carolina kind of worries me because it's like, are you going to get the year with him and Spencer was really good the year before, or you're gonna get last year's? Because I don't know what you're getting with Spencer. I really, really don't. Some people still think Spencer's gonna be productive. I don't know. I just don't know that kid. I don't trust him, and it just makes Stone's production just a lot more scarce than that. I do know there's talent there.
I think the same thing with Ryler. There's talent there.
Yeah.
And can he put it on the field like he did 2 years ago? I mean, it was weird. 2 years ago, Ryler struggled in the beginning and then turned it around. Last year, he struggled again, and people were just kind of waiting. And then by the time they stopped waiting, it was like the season was half over. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you can't. That's why there's talent with Rattler. There's no doubt about that. Will you see it on the field this year? I don't know that. So,
definitely. All right, you want to go
number 7? I have Sam Laporta from Iowa.
Okay.
Again, a good program. They produced quality tight ends, especially at the college level. Mm-hmm. I know people that are really high on Sam Laporta. I'm not as high. I think he's a good, solid receiver. I think he's not a good blocker. People act like he's okay at it because he's a big kid.
Yeah.
But he's not a great blocker. So
yeah. I don't have him on my list. I have him right outside of it.
Okay.
One of the other guys I didn't know if I wanted to put him in at number 10.
I tried not to be honest with you, Jerome, but his production and the fact that he's really highly ranked, in college football ranks. I mean, he was a 4-star kid coming in. Yeah. Now he's a 5-star kid, and his production says he's a good player, but I don't see a physical tight end. I see a guy who is good in space, solid. Not a great athlete, solid athlete. So I don't think anything special, but he's a good, solid college player. So
definitely. No, I agree. All right, my next guy is Dalton Canard from Utah. Utah got some tight ends, man. And I have him on my list right there. I like him a lot. Reason why I don't have him higher is because there's another guy in front of him that's better, I think. So I do think Utah is going to use the 2 tight end sets a lot, the 12 personnel. I think that is very good for them. And we already talked about the quarterbacks last week. Their quarterback is going to be very productive, and having 2 tight ends is just going to help them that much more. Bigger targets, help out in the running game a little bit more when you do want to run it. I think Utah is, again, one of my secret favorite teams, but I think they're going to be better this year, even though, they lost a key part on their defense. But I think they're going to be even better this year. And, now they're not a secret anymore. So
I like Kincaid. I have him one spot higher than you. I have him number 5. and I think he's a good blocker and he's a good solid receiver. He did have some injuries last year where he missed a game or two where he wasn't playing on the field. So his production was solid.
Yeah.
But the kid that played with him, Kuth, had more receptions. But I like Kincaid because he's a better blocker. And I think he's really an underrated pass catcher. I do so.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. Number 6, Ray.
It's Kincaid. That was my
number. Nice. Okay. We had him very close.
That's why I went into that because you had him at 7, so I had him on a good spot higher.
Nice.
So,
All right, cool. Number 6. Again, maybe a little biased. Maybe just hoping that he's better. He showed some flashes last year. His first 2 years was horrible. I'm not gonna lie. Eric All at number 6. I do see his first year was horrible. He was dropping everything. He just couldn't drop everything. He just couldn't catch. Second year, he was better. He wasn't good. Last year, he showed something. And I think that they was in a really heavy tight end rotation. I believe one of our guys just graduated, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot his name. We're just gonna give him more targets. So I believe it's gonna be him and Shoemaker. Mm-hmm. Shoemaker is a more solid tight end for this team, honestly. But Eric All is the more talented tight end. And I think that they're going to try to get him the ball a little bit more since he did play better this year. And from all the reports that I'm hearing and things that I'm hearing, they are really leaning on him a little bit more this year. So I'm going to trust in that. I'm going to trust in, hoping that he's better than, he was his first 2 years and show more than he did last year. Because I think he had a solid year. And Ray, I totally understand if you don't have him on your list. But I think based on potential, based on trust, and based on progression, I think he's going to have a better year this year.
Well, I have Eric All at number 5, so yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So I have no bias. I think the kid's a good football player. I think he's a good blocker. Correct. I think he can help out in the run game. I think that he's a good, solid pass catcher. He did struggle, especially his first year.
But he dropped almost every single thing.
If you have a scatterbrained quarterback, man, what are you going to do as a second tight end?
Okay.
I mean, he's running around. The quarterback's back there running around like a gnat, chasing himself.
You really don't like that, man. I forgot his name. I forgot too.
I mean, I watched him playing that new league this year. He sucked at that too, so he's done.
So, right?
Yeah, whatever it was. I watched him one game. I'm like, same quarterback.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Ray. Quarterback play is definitely a lot better this year or the last couple of years. Eric All definitely his talent is there, man. I don't want to make excuses though, because the quarterback play wasn't there, but him himself was dropping everything the first year.
So he definitely was. He really struggled. But this year he was fairly productive.
Yeah.
And he's a good blocker. I like him as a player, especially at the next level. He's got good size, got solid length. I think he's a good player. I think
athletically and physically, he's
a good player. Again, good size, nice length. Plays at a very good program, good blocker.
And he showed things at the end of the year, which I always take that into account too.
Here's my question though:
at the end of the year, I'll take that.
Is it a coincidence as the quarterback play improved a little bit? So did he?
No. I
mean, let's face it; it wasn't great last year either.
Yeah,
but it was solid, and he was really good in that system. So again,
and like I said, Shoemaker, him and Shoemaker was really rotating. And Shoemaker was didn't get as many touchdowns, obviously. He's not as athletic, but he was a solid guy. He reminded me of the kid from Dallas, Dalton.
Yeah.
Where Dalton wasn't world-breaking tight end, but he was very solid. He did what he needed to do. Where Eric All was that athletic, fast, in and out of breaks. And he showed a lot last year, and I believe he didn't drop any passes last year, but the years before that, he was dropping everything. I'm just like, what's up with this kid, man? I had high hopes on him. I'm glad that you have him at number 5, right? That's pretty cool. I appreciate the
Yep.
love there.
Yep.
All right. So my number 5 is Jaheen Bell from South Carolina. Productive wide receiver, tight end. Reason why I might almost call him wide receiver. Again, quarterback play. Not sure about him, but he's gonna be their starting tight end. And another reason I have Stoke so low on my list too, because I really like Stoke Stone, but Jaheen Bell's there, so I don't know if they're gonna do 2 tight end sets or whatever. I guess they're gonna have to because they got both of them. But Jaheen Bell's clearly the better tight end there, I believe, right?
Yeah, I like him. I think he's a good player. I don't have him in my top 10, but I think he's a good player. I think it's a pretty decent draft for tight ends.
Yeah.
You just got to, when it's a good year for tight ends in college football, you just got to pick the guy that you want to do what you want him to do. That's all.
Right.
No,
correct. I agree. All right, number 4, Ray.
Number 4, I have Josh Weil from Cincinnati. There's a little bit of a projection. Yeah. He was a solid quarterback. A solid receiver last year. But they were they used to like to throw the ball downfield a little bit. I think that maybe now with a quarterback who's going to probably check down a little bit more, that maybe he's a more valuable player for Cincinnati, and he's a good blocker. So again,
I didn't even think about that, Ray. That's actually a really good point. I don't have my own list because I didn't even, like you said, a little bit more projection than production. But I didn't even think about like the fact that now that I know they have a new quarterback, but I didn't think like, hey, I said it earlier, younger quarterbacks tend to, go for the tight ends more. So
plus, he only had the 26 receptions, but he had like over 300 yards. He averaged almost 13 yards a reception, which is really good for a tight end. And he scored 6 touchdowns on limited opportunities. So again, a little bit of projection. I think that he's going to be a good player, though.
I agree. My number 4 guy is Brent Kovic. How you say that?
Mm-hmm.
From Utah. Utah's offense is going to be a lot better this year. I really, really do think so. Like I said, I think they're gonna another team that's probably gonna be in a 2 tight end set. I have another team that's gonna be a 2 tight end set on here too. They're gonna have to be. Mm-hmm. I think there's gonna be a couple of big teams that are gonna have 2 tight end sets, and this is one of them because they have multiple tight ends. And Ray, like you said, if most of these guys come out, there's gonna be a really good tight end pool. This year was a good tight end pool as well. I know you guys know my guy from Coastal Carolina. Doing great things in Baltimore right now. So, and I projected that very early. So, he's getting big buzz down there. Lamar Jackson loves him, everything. So, shout out to him. But
Lamar Jackson get paid yet or no?
What was that?
Lamar Jackson get paid yet or no?
Well, not yet. They better do it before it gets too late because Kyler Murray's already got paid before him, and that contract is a little dumb. That contract is crazy. So
I know this is going to sound stupid. I wouldn't pay either one of them guys.
I know.
I wouldn't. I'm not paying guys that are athletes more than passers, dude. You could argue that Kyler Murray's got a strong arm. He does. You could argue that Lamar Jackson has a strong arm because he does. Are they accurate when it matters? I don't see that. So,
respect. Yeah. All right, number 3.
I have Cameron Latu from Alabama. Again, a guy that was really productive last year for the limited opportunities.
Oh, no.
Had 8 touchdowns, good physical blocker, which is the reason why he played over Billingsley in the end. I think his production will just go up, and I think he's a day 2 pick right now, I think.
Ray, I goofed. I don't have him in my top 10.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I missed his name or something. I agree with you, Ray. I'm really upset with myself. I don't even have him in my top 10. I don't know what happened. But yeah, he's a guy, man. Top 10. I think, like you said, round 2, round 3 kind of guy.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so mad at myself right now.
I think Latu is a good athlete.
Yeah.
He's a big kid. I think he has a lot going for him. Plays on a team that spreads the ball around. I think he should have nice production. They don't throw the ball to the tight ends a lot.
Yeah.
But I think with the receivers not being quite as good, maybe he gets a little bit more love this year.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I like him. He's a good football player. So.
No, I agree. Number 3, I got Eric Gilbert from UGA. Another guy that, Ray, you had him on your top 10 as well. You had him a little lower for obvious reasons. Another team, I talked about 2 tight end sets, and we're going to talk about the number 1 guy soon. But I think they're going to have to, because these 2 guys are very, very, very productive guys. And it's weird because Georgia's not known for the tight ends. But they got 2 really, really good guys.
They do.
I think they're going to have to use them somehow. They're going to have to. In no way you leave these guys out of there. You got really 2 good guys for first time in like forever. Use them, please.
Absolutely.
Do not waste that talent because they're good.
Not a doubt.
But go ahead, Ray. Let's get to your number 2.
Brock Bowers from Georgia at number 2. Again, I think that him and Gilbert work good together. Gilbert's a little better in line. Some people would argue with Bowers that he's a slot receiver. They do use him that way a lot.
Correct.
But his production is there, man. 800 yards, 13 touchdowns. I mean, you can't argue with the production. So
yeah, you have to. I think he was probably their best receiver last year. I would say
he was. He led the team in receptions and yardage. So
yeah. I actually have Brock number 1. I'm gonna just kind of spoil that because number 2 guy is probably your number 1. I mean, might be obvious you get to see him a little bit more, but my number 2 guy is Michael Meyer from Notre Dame. I really do like him, Ray. I really do. I just think Brock's gonna be better. I can't even just like give you a definitive good answer. I just think that Brock's gonna be better. Brewer's gonna be better. I can't give you definitive. Like those 2 guys are really good. They're really good tight ends. And Notre Dame, I want Notre Dame to start being better. I want Notre Dame to be. I want Notre Dame to be a tight end U again because they were producing tight ends like crazy back in the day.
So the tight end that led the league, the college football in receptions last year, and is easily the best blocking tight end in all of college football.
I'll give you that.
Okay, all right.
Like I said, I didn't pick blocking into account that much on this list. So you could be right. You could be. You probably are right, honestly.
71 receptions, man. That's more than 3 of these guys combined.
You're right. And you might be even right more because like I said, UGA is gonna be splitting tight ends. So
Michael Meyer is a top 15 player in next year's draft.
Really.
If you're a team,
I'm not sure where I would rank him. I definitely know he's a first rounder, though.
If you're a team like San Francisco, the Jets now, Miami, who runs that stretch zone read, the kid is gold.
Mm-hmm.
Gold.
You see him. You definitely see him more than me, right? I give you
gold,
that.
Like, there's nothing he can't do. He's a good receiver. He's a great blocker. He runs good routes. He's smart. He's a leader.
Yeah.
I
remember back in the day, if you ever need a tight end, you go to Penn State and Notre Dame.
I mean, again, man, I know that like everybody knows I'm a Notre Dame fan, but I try to keep it honestly, Jerome. To me, I am more critical of Notre Dame players than any player in college football. I'm not saying that I want to overvalue him a little bit every once in a while because I will. And Michael Mayer, see, I watch him play every game too, so maybe it's just not fair.
Yeah, I watch him play. Doing me with Michigan guys, I see them more than anybody else. So
right. I mean, I just think like when Miami had before this thing happened last week where they lost a draft pick, I was willing to trade up both of those picks to get Michael Meyer.
Wait, so y'all still have one though, first round?
We have, but it's at the end of the first round. If Michael Meyer is there,
right. How do you know it's at the end of the first?
Because we have San Francisco's first round pick, and people are assuming that they're going to be good.
Okay.
So that's why they have a pick at the end of the first
You
round.
not understand the NFL, right?
You know what I mean? No, I mean I understand San Francisco quarterback gets hurt, the other one struggles, defense doesn't play as well. There's always things but I'm going off what they were last year. They were a good team. They were in the NFC Championship game. They got to be a good team. They're a good defense. They're fairly well coached.
Yeah.
I can't see why they're not made. The highest I can see Miami going at is maybe pick 20.
No, right, and I agree with that. I mean, I'm just messing with you, obviously, but the reason why I say that is because San Fran was supposed to be good the last 5 years, and two
of those years they were bad. I know.
2 years ago it was horrible because
they
they
won
had
4 games. Yeah,
bad injuries, horrible injuries, right up there with the Eagles. It was like those two teams would have really bad with injuries. So, with that being said, I just think that's it's hard to say they're going to be out at the end of the first round. I'm not wishing anything bad against 49ers. I don't have anything
I am.
against them.
I am.
That's me with the Saints.
I hope they win 3 games.
That's
I
me with
want
the
a top pick, man.
I'm literally me with the Saints.
I'm one-sided, man. I'm not going to lie. If I can get a top 10 pick and get Michael Meyer, I'm in.
That's literally me with the Saints right now. But But yeah, so that's. I mean, hey, I hope that does work out for you guys. But yeah, Michael Myers, Meyer, right? Is it Meyer or Meyer?
It's Meyer, Michael Meyer.
Yeah, Michael Meyer. I think he's really good. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm in Georgia now, and I see Brock. That might.
No. Brock Bowers is an excellent athlete.
Correct.
He's a vertical threat from the seam. He's a good football player. I just think I want the more rounded guy. I actually thought about putting Cameron Latu ahead of him, but I couldn't because of the production being so one-sided.
Yeah.
Because I value guys that run block.
Yeah.
Especially in the system I'm going to run now. I like Mike Gesicki. I'm not sure Mike Gesicki fits my offense anymore, though.
Correct. I like Mike Gesicki, too. Like, I was hearing rumblings that the Eagles might trade for him, which I would have loved, but that would have been way too expensive to have done.
I would not do it now, but during the offseason, I would have thought about it.
Yeah.
Right now, I see him as a big slot kid. You put him along with that speed I got on the outside, that seam is going to be there all day.
Yes, sir.
One game, speed to burn, that slot guy is going to be open all day.
I agree. But that's going to do it for us today, guys. Thank you for all getting on with us. Please make sure you go check us out on our social media. And if you haven't known already, you can put your comments on our YouTube channel. Mr. Ray Roberts did yesterday. I seen your comment, Ray. I seen it. But definitely, he's talking about his Miami Dolphins. I get it. But guys, make sure you do that. Watch this later on, and you can put your comment in there. I know Ray's about to say something about that pick.
No, I put my thoughts in there for, I'm done talking about Brian Flores.
Gotcha.
He's a linebacker. He's a linebacker coach for the Steelers now. Big deal.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Wow. Talk about falling. Name another head coach that goes from being a head coach to a linebacker coach on a defense.
That's crazy. But yeah, man, so
he'll never be a head coach in the NFL again, so it's all good.
I don't know. I mean, time heals all wounds. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe
not the snitching rule.
Yeah.
You know how them old white guys are. They don't want them NFL teams, dude. I'll be the first. I don't have to be afraid of saying that. I know it's true. There's a bunch of Jerry Jones out there. You only know him because he's in Dallas. 2/3 of the league is run by that same guy. And if we don't realize that now, it's like politicians. If we don't realize that racism is as prevalent as it is because it still exists in the White House and beyond, then we're just stupid. Okay?
I do that.
All right.
But yeah, man, make sure you go check us out on social media and on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And make sure you go check us out on our YouTube channel. Hit that like and subscribe button. If you want to find it, it's right there in that QR code right there in the corner. I'm trying to get it
right there.
There you go. Right under Ray, right across from me.
Right.
Hit that QR code, have all our social media, everything on there, and you can follow it right there. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate you.
Hey, my hand look big. I like that.
Nice. But thank you guys again for getting on with us. This is Jerome Jones. This is the legend right there, Mr. Ray Roberts. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Have a good weekend, and we see you again next week when we will talk about offensive line and defensive line. Peace.